And leave it, let it roll.
You want me to just
Just let it record, that's fine.
Sure.
Yep.
It's just
So then Betsy's in. Not gonna care.
What?
Oops,
like is that
video thing. There's Pat.
Good morning.
Morning. Andy here, we got right.
I don't see,
Waiting for Colleen and for Teresa.
no,
Being in the hotel. Yeah, he did accept the appointment, but yeah.
So we don't have a quarter.
No, not yet. Keep an eye on that, though. We'll get the agenda up here anyway.
Let's go. No.
Hey Andy,
hey,
is that painting behind you Witter painting? I forget his first name. The last name is Witter though, I think. The
is it
artist.
from the library? He was like a library something or other.
I think so. He just recently showed at JavaCat and then he's showing now at Lake Street Coffee or Lakeside.
Yeah, James.
James Witter, yeah.
Yeah, we
Huh.
went to the library event for Madison Library, and it was in a silent auction item.
Nice.
I didn't think we'd
Nice.
win, but we ended up winning.
Very Madisonian.
Yeah,
I love that art.
yeah, I liked it because of the bowl break, and we pass it every day, and my kid's daycare. So, and for anybody else who is not doing anything on January 25th, there's Loud in the Library for the Monona Public Library.
Right?
Which is a great event. So if you
I'll second that. Having been there one time last year, I've got looped in this year to help out because it was so much fun and a great fundraiser for a great public resource.
yeah,
There you go.
and good luck, Kara, tomorrow with the candlelight hike.
Yeah, the temps are gonna stay up for us, it looks like, and drop on Sunday. So come on out and get a nice hike in before you're homebound for 2 days because of the cold.
Well, sorry, everybody. We have to wait until Teresa or Colleen show up.
Yeah, so I think we're expecting everybody to show up here. Nobody said they couldn't make it here, so. Yeah, we need two more actually to vote on the Aldo one, yep. Yeah, see if she picks up, or, yeah, give her a ring. Teams. 8 teams up.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to shut that one down, give us a little. Just not operating. There it goes, okay. We're gonna try to call Teresa right now,
I just emailed.
or just email her at least.
I texted her too.
Okay. And I know Kelly is unable to attend today for the, or for the parade, but. Champagne glasses in the back of the hole, I can't see them. Yeah. We need something, yeah, everybody said they could make it, so. It's
I
unusual,
haven't heard anything back from Teresa.
yeah.
Do you want to pause recording while we're waiting? Since we're not. Awesome. So I'll call this meeting to order on January 17th. I know Neil will take roll. Minutes. Neil sent those minutes earlier this morning to the commissioners. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from our October 16th meeting?
I'll move approval.
Is there a second?
I can second.
Perfect. Any changes, corrections, additions? Seeing, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay? All right. Neil, are there any public appearances on your end? Because I know all of the people on the call are connected to an application.
Yep,
Seeing
correct, sir.
none, we will move on to statement of any potential conflict of interest by commissioner members. And I will say, I will abstain from the Friends of San Damiano because I am on their board.
And I'll abstain from Aldo Leopold.
And Neil, if we abstain, do we still have quorum?
His Mitch is on, hold on, yeah, as of right now, yes, because Mitch
All right.
just is dialing in right now.
If Mitch is
So,
in, then
great
we're-
timing. Yep,
All right.
so,
I'm just gonna wait a second for Mitch to get in here.
yep. See if he's on. Mitch, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right,
All right.
excellent. Thanks for making it, man. All right, so now the answer is yes, Andy.
All right. Are there any other potential conflict of interest from any of the other commissioners? All right. Old business, none. New business, update on room tax fund balance, which I know Mark sent out. Mark?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of here just to kind of give an update. So there's 2 pages I sent. I sent basically what the final numbers for 2024 was. List of all the grants, requests, the amounts paid. We started off 787,000. Spent 488,000. We have outstanding of 38,787 for basically mainly 2 Discover Monona media campaign, and MG Sings have not been paid out yet. So we had available 260,000. Right now I'm estimating. I will say this, next year, if we can move this back to February, because I don't get everything in until January for the 4th quarter. But based on analysis, we should have about 405,000 to spend. So we carry that over to the second page. That's where my number becomes to take the available balance of the 260,000 plus the 405,000 estimated to get to 703,000 available. We did approved and paid out in 2025 already. Tourism entity contract for MESBA, which is 256,000. We still have those couple grants that are outstanding. So 408,000 available after that. I did underneath that put a little summary of what was requested for the 1st quarter. As you can see, the Friends, Aldo, Parade, and Lake Nona. So it's 270. I'm just going to round up 274,000. So if these are all granted at those dollars amounts, the remaining would be 134,560 for the remaining of the year.
Question, because I don't know if we've ever had really this issue before. Do we have a policy on how long we carry over? I noticed like the River Rink, your note there is 2023 carryover, so this would be a 3rd year that they would have those funds available. Is there a point where we reach out to the organization and make sure we've paid all of the invoices?
Usually I have been like towards the end of the year, I sent like an email to a couple places, plus you all doing MESBA and ask them, this is how much is left. And they responded back like, and they would send in their invoices or saying, no, we're not gonna spend the full amount. I did talk to the River Rink. We do probably need to have a policy for that. I think we don't. They said they'll have that spent in here in January, that'll be used up. It was just kind of a timing issue for December because it relates to the rink. MG Sing just haven't had their signed contract yet. That was, I think, the 4th quarter when that was issued. So we don't technically have a policy, so I don't know if they're something to think about here for the future. How do you want to put that in there?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we can talk about at a different date, but we should probably set something up or some sort of more formal request to carry over type of thing. I just don't
So I
want to
think we
carry
do
over for year over
Our
year.
grant contract, Andy, I think has language saying it's supposed to be spent within the year that it's awarded. So
Yeah.
that is kind of the default position, but yeah, in terms of someone to request a carryover, yeah, we should probably have up to a year or however, whatever the commission would be. We could put that on the agenda for the next meeting for sure.
In the media campaign, I did talk to her name,
Christine, yeah.
She did ask in December if that was okay, they would spend it right away in January. So I did say it was fine.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to be a stickler that we wouldn't approve a carryover because there's certainly understandable situations, but just noticing that one that now will be the 3rd year available. I think
I think we probably would do something.
Close the book.
I would say we do something, especially if somebody's non-responsive after a certain amount of time, that the commission can by action just say, we're closing that grant, we're putting it back into the pool. We'll write something up and bring that forward for the commission to review.
Okay. Betsy, it seemed like you had.
Just to
maybe a question.
clarify though, it sounds like you feel pretty confident that those outstanding balances will still be requested. Right, so we should consider that in our calculations.
Yes, and it's in there. Yes, I MG Singh just hasn't filed, I don't think the event's not until February, I believe, right?
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So they haven't requested their money, and yeah, and like I said, Mesbah asked just for the carryover. And I did talk to Jake Anderson, and that will be spent here, if it hasn't already been spent here by the end of the month.
So, and I also would throw out that, obviously, looking forward throughout the rest of the year. Certainly the Monona Community Festival, we're anticipating an application from, certainly probably I think depending on what we do with, if you guys remember Christine's discussion, about the possible fishing tournament. There's at least another request possibly coming out there. So there are other grants that we expect on an annual that haven't come in yet. So obviously 134,000 is getting pretty tight, I would say, in terms of what we would be looking at on that. So just wanted to make sure that to also be thinking forward, that there might still be a couple of other applications we're looking at in the future, so.
Sounds good. Any other questions pertaining? Did you have anything else, Mark?
No, I didn't have anything.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for that update. All right, we'll get into the meat of our conversations. First quarter 2025 tourism grant applications. We will start with Lake Monona Run. I would just say to everyone, you don't need to read the whole application. I would expect that all the commissioners have read all of the information and kind of thought of questions that they might have. But I would say if you want to take, maybe up to 5 minutes to highlight different pieces or aspects that you want to make sure that we're aware of. And then and I'm not going to limit you just to 5, but just using that as a guiding post. But then we'll open it up to questions and probably have a lot more conversation after that point. So happy to start with Ryan from the Lake Monona Run.
Hey guys, thank you for having me again. I think, first of all, thank you for your help last year. I think we were kind of a poster child of what these funds are meant to do. We had a great year last year at the event. We actually overspent because it was going so well. We overspent our marketing budget. I think we got even closer to like a $20,000 spend on marketing, and it's carrying over into this year. So I think the big win right now is saying, hey, we're putting our dollars in the right spot. As we sit here today, we're 58% ahead of registrations. And it's huge, right? So I'm looking at the numbers exactly. We are sitting at 1,219 registered to date. At this date last year, we had 769 people registered. So we are really looking good. And honestly, I can attribute that to a hell of a marketing team we have, but the dollars you guys provided us to make that happen. We saw people come in from all over the place. We already are seeing a huge pickup from this year from further away. Our heat map showing where people are registering from is hitting heavy marks in Des Moines, La Crosse, Green Bay, Kenosha, Chicago area. So it's showing that we are bringing people in from where they should be coming because of these funds and our targeted approach to, a little bit further. We're looking more towards a 6-hour commute to the event this year. Last year, we focused on a little bit of more like a 4.5-hour commute. Again, these are definitely putting heads in beds, and I think it's showing that it's working. We're excited about it. I know you guys kind of got a kick out of it being the probably the best post-race party in the Madison area. And we definitely proved that last year. We are ramping that up a little bit more even this year, bringing in some food carts and some fun from the local area, some just additional stuff, teams, and trying to build out a little bit of a local corporate team portion of it as well. So other than that, it's the same old race. You guys do such a great job making this happen. The police, fire, and EMS from there makes it work. And I can't say thank you enough for the last 2 years and hopefully this year for supporting us in this event.
Awesome.
I guess Andy and staff did not get a recommendation officially out on this one because when we kind of saw the fund balance, we were like, oh, maybe we should hold off on that in terms of that discussion. But I think based on performance from last year as well as the application presented this year, staff would recommend, I think it's 16,500 award of the full amount requested.
Awesome. Is there questions, comments, or a motion? Teresa?
Andy, I just had a question. Ryan, outstanding. This is wonderful. My question is about the hotels and the sponsorship, and I'm just wondering, do you have any thoughts on how you might achieve that someday to get that sponsorship?
What do you mean by sponsorship? I'm sorry.
You know what? Perhaps Neil should answer that question.
So I'm sorry, Alder, say that one more time.
So on the application, it has that additional questions section, and the first one asks that does your project or event have any sponsorships with local hotels? And the response there is that they're working on it, but just don't quite have it yet. And I'm wondering, what would sponsorship look like, and is there something we could suggest that would help this event gain that or get that sponsorship?
Yeah, I think the only thing we really had that question on there for Alder is specifically in case some events we've had, they have a formal relationship with a specific hotel. So they have a room block or they have something kind of just designated. So we just want to be aware of that. So in terms of just fairness and equity to the other hotels to acknowledge, and if the commission, just to make you guys aware of that, if that was something that was going on. So just in terms of just making sure there's fairness involved in that, we're good either way. And we would encourage them to do that. If they have that's great. But if they don't, that just maybe helps us make sure that we're advertising it also creates a potential conflict for Ryan if he's like, well, we've got a room block with American Inn, but we're requiring them to still advertise all the other hotels.
Yeah.
So it's more just a logistical kind of flag to make sure we're aware of if there's any issues on that. So
thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually read that the other way and thinking that, hey, maybe American is also paying me $5,000 to do this. And I look at that as double dipping. That wouldn't be fair. I'd have to disclose that and say, hey guys, I'm getting $5,000 to put people in American as the official host hotel. Yes, we're still going to push people to you. But to me, you're taking money so-called from American in the room night tax and giving it to me. That I wouldn't feel right doing that. That being said, we are trying to do a better build out and work closer with the Monona motels, specifically in trying to build more of a welcome package for these people coming from out of town. One of the things that worked really well for our Pleasant Prairie events is just a simple little signboard that says, welcome Lake Monona 20K participants. And then if we can go a little bit further, I'd like to see getting a few of the restaurants and kind of more fun things to do in Monona handed to those participants, whether they check in or even like a simple folder on their bed. I know that requires work from the hotels, but that attention is what's going to bring my participants back year over year.
That'd be great.
And then
Additional question?
Ryan, you wrote on here that you then raise money for charities. Which charities do you tend to give to?
It kind of rotates around. We try to pick one specific to Monona, obviously, because it is a Monona-based event. The biggest one, and it's been a long standing event, we work with Ice Inc., which is actually the Verona hockey rink. I think in our duration and specifically from the Lake Monona 20K, we're approaching $100,000. And Mike from Ice Inc. has stated that we've helped keep the roof on. Literally, we put a new roof on that building because of this event. But we do it in a multitude of ways. One, we pick a designated charity, but then also our volunteer director reaches out to these other charities. One, it lets them help raise money from the participants. We'll put their charitable, I want to call it a company, their charity on, and then a participant can register for the race and choose one of those charities and say, hey, I want to raise another $10 by doing that, as well as we pay a rate per volunteer or per group that comes and helps, like at the aid stations or the water stations. So I think our budget right now pushes about $12,500 towards charity and volunteers for this event.
How do charities get connected with you? Because I'm just thinking of a number of charities that I'm involved in locally in Monona.
That would be amazing. Shoot me an email or there's several emails on our websites, but every single race we do, and don't keep it specific to Lake Monona 20K, please. Hit us up for any of our races, or just I can shoot you an email separate, but Sarah, our volunteer coordinator, kind of sees through all those things. Like I said, we have many different ways to put funds towards that, kind of exchange for the volunteering, exposure. And then we put you on as one of those events that says, hey, here's our designated charity, or here's a couple other charities that participants can donate to. And they make it real simple as that registration process, as even on the last page, as you push to click OK to charge your credit card, there's a simple checkbox that says add $5 to X charity.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none or hearing none, is there a motion?
I'll move to approve for the full amount.
I'll
Is there-
second.
All right, any further questions, comments? I'm guessing Colleen, you can hear us perfectly?
Sorry about that. Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right, that passes. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. And you'll notice on one of their ads is my brother and me and his daughter. So I think that's
For
what's
real?
extra people.
It's awesome.
I'm a little cut off, but we'll
He
work on
knows
that.
how to,
for next
he
time.
knows how to butter up those commissioners, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look for that because I haven't seen that. That's awesome.
yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Lower left.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah. See ya.
All right, bye, guys.
All right, next one is Kelly Slack in the parade, and I think you said, Neil, that she's not here, right?
Yeah, she's unable to attend today, but she said she'd certainly be happy to answer any questions if the commissioners had any, would follow up, so.
All right, so we will go off of, hopefully everybody's been able to take a look at this, look at their budget, and come with any questions.
Pretty detailed submission on the budget. I mean, they even got like, they're down to like $54 for their Department of Financial Institutions registration. I mean, so it's a pretty detailed budget. Yeah, obviously not, not a huge operating budget. This is consistent with their application last year. Certainly be recommending we do it as a hotel sponsorship, as we've talked about in the past. Be able to get them their funds to be able to engage in those, in whatever they need to get that set up. So I believe their request was for $24,000. Staff would recommend consideration of the full amount on this one as well.
The full amount, you said, Neil?
So yeah, 24,000, yep.
Found it.
You
Found it.
remind me, sorry, Teresa.
Go ahead, Betsy.
Just a reminder if they applied last year and for how much.
See if we can have it on here. I think, what we said last year, they were at $20,000 last year.
Okay, so just a little more.
Teresa?
Oh, I was just gonna make a comment. I didn't realize how much it costs to bring Bucky Badger to your event. That was interesting.
It's not inexpensive, no.
Interesting. Yeah. But I do have to agree with Neil. This detailed breakdown is spectacular. It's really nice. Yeah. Very transparent.
I guess my comment, just kind of looking at this, was just now knowing that we gave 20,000 last year, is that's kind of where my head was more at, was the 20,000, because I know one reason they came to tourism was just now having to pay for public safety, which they didn't pay for. Maybe it was even 5 years ago, or different things like that. So 20,000 would cover that, and they would cover all of the marketing that they're talking about that's proposed in here. And so I feel like that hit all of what they wanted to do. I know it's just a $4,000 difference, but that was just my thinking. Is I'm good with 20,000. The extra 4,000, I don't know.
Wasn't there an issue last year that they had an unexpected cost having to share with Madison PD? Was this familiar to
these-
anyone?
I think they do have to pay. This is because it's on Monona Drive.
Right.
They actually have public safety costs for both the city of Monona and the city of Madison.
That was 2 years ago.
But it's in their budget this year.
Yeah, it was in the budget
Okay.
last year too.
Yeah.
It was in last year's budget too.
I'm assuming that MS and busing reroute PD signing traffic, that's Madison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's also a new one this year because of, well, I guess technically they had to do it last year too. But with the Madison Metro, there's a cost actually to reroute the buses for the duration of the parade and yeah, so it's an additional cost that folks wouldn't normally think of.
Well, their budget worksheet shows last year's actual cost.
Yeah,
Look at that.
yeah, so, and that's true in the application materials with the
Yeah.
agenda. She actually did have a recap of their actual costs from last year as well. Next, side by side, kind of with their 2025 budget, so.
I just felt like with $500, $525 being their advertising and marketing, they're obviously asking for a majority of it to cover the PD and type of things, so.
Yeah.
Those were just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions, comments, or is there a motion?
I move to approve the requested amount of $24,000.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right. There we go. All right, moving on to Friends of San Damiano. And I'm just, as a reminder, I'm gonna recuse myself and abstain as well, so. All right, Julie.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Burns. Many of you I do not know. Some of you I do. I recently was contracted by Friends of San Damiano to act as their interim managing director. I've been involved with the organization for over 4 years, so know everyone really well. But we're here today because 2025 is really a transformative year for the organization. We're planning on moving from a volunteer-run organization to hiring an executive director and having some professional staff. We are also in the works with the City of Monona. As you all know, this is a public property owned by the City of Monona. And the Friends of San Damiano and the city are in talks of updating a new memorandum of understanding. It's our hope that the Friends of San Damiano will be taking over more responsibilities for the maintenance of the property, so care and love and TLC of the property, as well as all of the programming that takes place there. And a new and exciting idea is, one thing is we really want to start generating some revenue from the property. And one way that we are looking at doing that is through property rentals. So we want to, I guess, test the waters this year with 1 or 2 events. We have plans in place for that. Of course, that hinges on the MOU with the city and also having the city approve what we're looking at. So yeah, so that's sort of where we're at. And we're here today to ask for some funding to help us with this transition year. We're looking at a lot of the things that were provided by the city in terms of equipment, even staffing. This year, the Friends are taking that over, right? And so we are just looking for an initial investment to be able to transition into the Friends taking over those things. So care and maintenance of the land. So that we're talking sanitation, landscaping, snow removal, things like that. Essential equipment for rentals. So if we do have a property rental, we would like to have some chairs, tables, that type of thing, that we can also use as a revenue generating item. We also have really never dabbled in the marketing and advertising for the property yet. And this year we're really focusing on marketing the organization and the property itself as a destination, a lakeside destination. We have been in talks with Mesba and Destination Monona, and we're working on some things with them. So the investment there would really just be to get us organized, learn how to do that type of destination marketing, and have some money to do some advertising to bring visitors to the property. And last but not least is we are hiring that executive director this year. So we're looking for a little bit of help with funding that position. We did receive a $50,000 grant from Madison Community Foundation. We have reserves that we're also using for that, but would love to have an investment there. So that position would focus on like fundraising for the property, implementing the operations for rentals, and building strategic partnerships really to increase tourism to San Damiano.
Awesome. Pat, I know you're here. I don't know if you have anything else to add or.
Yeah, nothing to add at this point. I think Julie did a great job explaining it. Yeah, thanks for asking.
I think, Andy, just from staff standpoint, obviously, yeah, Julie's hit it right on the head, you know, kind of working through the updated MOU, and that's kind of gonna be including, I think, an events calendar that would kind of include at least what's being planned for the year. I think that would, certainly from my standpoint, that would be handy to have that as certainly as kind of in consideration with what this request would be. You know, but obviously knowing that there's some timing things that we might want to take a look at. You know, certainly we'll always be I'll always get to be the bad guy a little bit and kind of say, you know, in terms of paying for operating costs related to different, you know, different requests, that's always a little bit of a concern. Not that we can or can't offer it off the bat, that's always the commission's discretion to evaluate those things. But certainly, you know, obviously we like focusing more on the marketing aspects. We like when they're very event driven. Those are certainly a lot easier things to review and consider. The hotel sponsorship model does allow the commission to do different considerations of these types of requests, however. So we just, you know, certainly want to, you know, point that out. And then obviously, you know, this is certainly getting into the point of, you know, anything, obviously these next two requests are you know, significant investments. But so we just want to make sure in terms of obviously the context of the fund balance and what other things the commission may want to be taking a look at going forward. But, you know, with that, certainly available to answer questions if anybody has any.
Sorry, can I just follow up on that? So is it your recommendation that we wait for a finalized MOU?
I mean, I think certainly it's something we can do. There's probably a couple different ways of doing that. You could make it contingent on something being submitted. You could hold off on any action until it comes in. You could just hold on, you could approve it now knowing that that's coming in, and we could just figure out how to track that going forward. You know, I think it probably should be tied in somehow. But in terms of the order of how things come in, certainly would be up to the commission in terms of what your preferences would be on that.
I would like to say about the programming in particular, this is a new model. The way the MOU is being set up is a new model. And I would like to say that all of our programs for the year have been approved by Parks and Rec, Monona Parks and Rec. And so that was the former model of how we did things. We have all the permitting. Pat has worked with Jake to make sure we're not overlapping and that we're like coordinating our schedules. So we feel pretty good about the programming that we have in place at this point, and that there should not, we hope, not be any surprises for Neil and the city.
Although another great big nice event coming here would be a great surprise. We'd love to deal with that. In terms of obviously it's just coordinating the schedules and so forth. And you know, this is obviously, you know, we are kind of, like I said, to Julie's point, we are embarking on the next phase of the relationship and working with the friends in the city on this. This is the natural extension of where this has been going. I do, you know, so this is just something we want to obviously keep forward, and we certainly know that we can use these funds to help promote those types of events and activities out on the site. Similarly, it's just, you know, keeping in mind again, overall, just the overall funds that we're looking at, you know, it's certainly up to the commission in terms of what dollar figure there's a comfort level with in terms of making an investment this year. So.
I have a question, Julie. On your labor and services, like with the porta potties, trash recycling, snow removal, landscaping, is that associated with an event or more for like general upkeep and maintenance?
Right. So what I presented to the commission is basically our full program budget. So that it doesn't include G&A or fundraising costs, but I put in our full program budget. So those are the costs that would be associated, like the total program budget are the like yearly costs that we're anticipating, and then we've asked for a percentage of that from the Tourism Commission.
And to Julie's point, if you read through your application, that's exactly how she presented it in her narrative. So if you haven't read that, she provides the overall cost as well as the percentage being allocated to the program, which is very much appreciated. So.
If I may just add a little bit. Also, some of the things that we're working on too that are ongoing with trails on the grounds and being able to identify some of the flora and fauna that are there and make it more educational as people come. Those are things that I think complement other events that are going on in Monona, for example, with Ryan and the Lake Monona Run, or the Clean Lakes Alliance does the loop the lake. I think Sam Damiano enhances those events as well and just adds one more thing that bring people to Monona and fit in with the Heads and Beds tourism promotion too. So those are not events specifically, but they are the ongoing everyday, why should you come to that we're doing.
Go ahead, Teresa.
I just had this is wonderful. Julie, I love the detail you provided. Thank you. I'm just curious to know if this year's Ho-Chunk Winter Games are still planned, is all intention of moving forward with those, and if not, how that might change the projection on expenses.
So the expenses, okay, so we made a pivot recently on that because we did not get a commitment from Bill to be able on a certain date. So we're pivoting on that one event to be more like a winter gathering. So we're envisioning from 4 until 6, a bonfire and more of a low-key event. So it will not be winter games this year. So that actually just changed as of yesterday. So the need for the honorarium and hotels for Ho-Chunk representatives are not needed at this time.
Other questions? If no questions or comments, is there a motion?
I hate to do this, but I think I'm going to move to reduce the amount of funding awarded from 66,501 to, I don't know, 64.
What is your rationale, Teresa?
Just with the changing of the winter games. And I also just want to be, I just want to, I think all of us take our job very responsibly, and I know that we're all very responsible stewards of these dollars, and I just want to do my part.
Yeah, and I guess the way I'm reading some of this is that it's, as Julie described it, it's kind of a startup year. So I do wonder if next year, the request wouldn't necessarily include staging and the PA system and things like that, but instead would, be a request for making those ongoing events successful.
Yeah. So Betsy, I think what I'm hearing you say is because it's a startup year, you have all these one-time expenses out front here like this that we may not see again.
Yeah.
So we do have a motion.
Teresa, I appreciate you putting yourself out there and making the tough decisions.
I know it's not a very popular thing to do, I know.
So I'll second your motion.
So it sounds, and I'm just orchestrating this. I just want to be clear that I am not, so it sounds like that was a reduction of $2,000 from their
Yes.
66 to 64.
Yes.
Okay, and there was a second. Any further conversations, questions? Okay, you got that, Neil?
Yeah,
Okay,
I welcome any pushback. People don't have to just follow me into this. It's, I don't know.
my only
I feel I'm on the
comment-
fence about it myself. I feel bad for doing it, but
my only comment separate from this is I tried to reduce $4,000 in another request, and now we're
Okay.
reducing just 2,000 in this one. So,
okay.
but 2,000 is 2,000, so.
Well,
Hey.
and there are other grant rounds to come, and if the San Damiano group wants to put in a second request later in the year for whatever expenses they see going beyond the 64,000, then that's a possibility for them too.
Any further questions, comments? Seeing, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And then I abstain. All right. Thank you, Julie and Pat.
thank you all very much. We appreciate your investment.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, we will move on to Aldo Nature Center.
Hi. So my grant request, yes, is very large this year, in part because I was encouraged to put everything into one grant for the entire year. And in part also because if you don't reach for the stars, you're never going to get anywhere near there, right? So let me talk through a couple of the things on my grant request for you right now. Before I start grounding this conversation, as we all know, just like San Damiano, Aldo Leopold Nature Center is Monona land. So it's public, open to everyone to come and explore. And we are a Monona treasure. By design, our mission is centered on the health and wellness of our community. Not only our Monona community, but our Southern Wisconsin community and regional community as well. And we do this through sustainability and conservation, children's programs, and hiking, and free programming for everyone. In 2025, we are looking to strengthen our position, not only as a community space for people to connect with nature, but as a health and wellness vessel for our region. And we're doing this in part, not only through what we're currently doing, but by adding a few other events that bring our community together. Thinking about our pre-COVID times when folks were very interested in gathering in community throughout the year, we want to become that meeting space for the region and for our neighborhood. The first thing on my budget, which is not as detailed as San Damiano, and since you ladies are still on, I just want to say goals for next year. Your application is very beautiful. Thank you for giving me something to shoot for in 2026. But weddings and rentals is the first thing on the budget, and that is because this is really what brings heads to Monona hotels and gets those heads in beds. This year in 2023, or in 2025, we booked 23 weddings, so we're up 28% from 2024. And I've heard time and time again from our private events manager that even when folks are from our community and they're booking hotels or booking their event at the Nature Center, they're still booking hotels specifically because of their proximity to our venue and because of some of the accommodations that our hotels provide. In particular, the discount codes, our private events manager has been working really closely with Country Inn and Suites to get an overall discount code for our organization, as well as the shuttle service. Everyone loves a shuttle to their wedding or event. In addition to this, I did include the private events manager salary into this budget because she is the because not only do we see ourselves as the premier wedding venue for Monona, but also because she is so instrumental in getting those heads and beds. We also have some additional supplies that we're looking to purchase this year. We need more chairs for the organization for our weddings. Currently, with the way our organization is laid out, we're storing some chairs in the building and some chairs in our outbuilding, and it's a lot of work for our rentals crew to move them when there's a wedding set up on the grounds then inside. And so we're looking to purchase additional chairs that can just stay outside, and our rentals crew doesn't, or our rentals team doesn't have to move them. We also need some smaller items like additional string lights, flashlights. So there's other items that we're asking specifically for these events. I did include some rental staff payroll too. That is not everything, it's partial, about 50%. But another goal this year of our private events manager is to offer more workshops for our community. So think about the upcoming self-discovery weekend, which I've heard mentioned on this call. We want to do more workshops like that throughout the year. So bringing folks to the Nature Center to do, whether it's some sort of candle making class or some sort of nature journaling hike, or it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the land. We have all this classroom space at the Nature Center that is sometimes underutilized on the weekends. And so finding ways to bring people to the Nature Center to do those sorts of events. And these workshops, especially, I see us advertising heavily in hotels, in the 3 Monona hotels to get people to Monona, but then also using our partnerships with MESBA, as well as Destination Madison and Travel Wisconsin, to advertise on their sites that this is something that you can do here. We have our own relationship. I just wanted to say we have our own relationship with Destination Madison and partnership with them, in addition to our relationship and partnership with MESBA and what MESBA has with Destination Madison. And so it's kind of a twofold relationship with that greater travel organization, Destination Madison. Let's see what else. So in addition to the memberships for those tourism entities in this budget, I've also included the Trailside backpacks. We are out, we're running very low on the Trailside backpacks that we had printed previously that say supported by the Monona Tourism Commission. We'd like to get another round of backpacks printed with specifically the Discover Monona logo on it, because not only do we want to show our support or thank our gratitude for Discover Monona's support, but what a great call to action that logo is, right? Like Discover Monona, it's a great call to action. And so having that publicly displayed on the backpacks. We additionally need some supplies for that, as well as the upkeep. And I do want to remind the commission that we have those backpacks in Avid hotels as well as Country Inn and Suites. We change out the materials every quarter to make sure that they're seasonal and timely. And we also provide backup materials if the binoculars are lost or anything is taken. We also have the Trailside backpacks at our Monona Public Library too for a checkout. I've also included a budget line in here for our free public events. We're continuing to do these this year. A lot of advertisement goes into these events. This includes Maple Syrup Fest, which I do want to make a quick side note. We have the Candlelit Hike coming up this weekend, and when I submitted my application last year, I included the Maple Syrup Fest on that. However, the Candlelit Hike this weekend, we're not getting as much support from the city of Monona. Monona Parks and Rec wasn't able to participate this year, and so we're taking on that additional load of staffing and providing supplies and materials. And so that is why I've moved a little bit more money into Maple Syrup Fest into this grant application. We also are planning a new spring market for Mother's Day this year, which is similar to our holiday market. So the spring market and the holiday market, both of those events require extensive advertising because people are coming in and paying for tables to sell their goods and wear. And so we really want to make sure that we're advertising that beyond just our social media, our free venues. And so we take out, for those events, we take out a partnership with In the 608, which is a newsletter that gets emailed throughout the 608 region highlighting what events are happening. And then we'll also be working with Destination Madison and MESBA to promote those events through their channels as well. Also this summer and spring, we are getting our hands and feet wet with a food cart and music night as well. We've checked in with both the City of Monona and the Friends of San Damiano. We're planning ours for the 4th Thursday of May, June, and July so that there is no overlap, as Julie mentioned. We always want to be cautious of what our Monona partners are doing and that we're not planning events for the same day. So I did include a line in there for those events in terms of advertising, band fees. We want to, as a nature center and as a nonprofit, we're always trying to get things for cheap, but we also want to be respectful of artists especially and understand that musicians do have a cost. And so I did include a budget line for that too. And then for the paid public events, I want to highlight really quick the White Wings dinner, which I kind of previewed with Julie and Pat earlier, but this is a new kind of partnership or movement between the Aldo Leopold Nature Center and MESBA, and it's centered on our the Ho-Chunk origins of this land. So the White Wings dinner, if you might know that we've been working with Ho-Chunk individual Rock Reindeer for the past 18 months for him to host his Wongshik Woshka revitalization courses here. This movement in part has to do with us reclaiming the land for the Ho-Chunk and installing a statue on our land. That's not what these costs are for. This cost is for my participation in helping kick this off with MESBA in terms of this White Wings dinner. And this will be a high ticketed, we're talking about $100 to $250 a plate event in April held at the Aldo Leopold Nature Center, where we're unveiling the statue project. And our idea is that we will have 4 native statues placed throughout the city of Monona, facing 4 different directions, east, north, south, and west. The first statue will be placed at the Aldo Leopold Nature Center. And so this, the money that's included in this budget for this is my participation in kind of kicking off this event and this dinner. Also this spring and summer, we're bringing back Adult Summer Camp, which was extremely popular last year. Thank you to the commission for your support and funding and helping that event, because we heard nothing but amazing things about how wonderful it was for adults to be able to come out to the nature center and act as kids again, spend the day out here and not have to worry. And I don't know, it was just a very fun-filled day filled with rocket launching. We had water balloon toss. There was all sorts of different events. And so we're redoing that again in July. And then this is my brainchild. I would like to hold in this winter a solstice pancake breakfast. Not Santa Claus, but every year we put on a solstice play, which is very pagan in origin, but it has to do with the changing of the seasons. And there's lots of pancake breakfasts around this area, but I thought we could hold a solstice pancake breakfast where we're doing the solstice play for individuals and talking about the fight between the Holly King and the Oak King and how the seasons were changed, how people from many years ago believe the seasons changed or why they changed. So I have that in there. So there's some new events included in this budget as well. I also think that the winter solstice pancake breakfast is another great event for us to advertise through the hotels and get people who are staying in the hotel to come out to the nature center too. So that was a lot of blabber about our upcoming events and things that we want to host at the nature center this year. So hit me with your questions. I am ready for that.
I guess, Andy, just from a staff review on talking about this, I said, just for reference, I think the total amount of funds we get was about 113,000 last year to pay us, just for comparison. Very much, I think Kara hit it on the head. I think that obviously the wedding receptions, I think, is the biggest bang for our buck in terms of what I think the commission is looking for. I think all of those other things are great and they're great enhancements, especially like the backpacks in the hotels. Those are great things. But I think the definitely thing that I said in terms of investment of the room tax dollar is definitely things related to the wedding receptions and those types of events are definitely, I think, at least in my opinion, are definitely the best investment of funds here. Certainly, like, again, and we thank you, Kara, for bringing them all in at one time. Thank you. That's awesome. It's like I said, just like the commission, we won't be having to review them all the time. But obviously but that also puts the commission now in the position of, okay, well, you have to hedge your bets knowing there's future things that might still be coming in. So what's your level in terms of, the easiest thing would just be to be like, yeah, we don't want to meet anymore in 2025. We get everything invested in, we're done, and we'll just see you in 2026. But I think absolutely we do, again, like I said before, we do know that there are other applications likely to be coming in. So just want to make sure, remind the commission of that and keep that in mind, I guess, as you're evaluating your recommendation and your vote on this.
Questions from the commissioners?
Maybe this is a kind of a question to the other commissioners, just because this all sounds great. Alda Leopold, obviously a gem of Monona, but this is, 40% of our tourism budget for the whole year, which is, and I don't also want to punish Kara for doing what we asked her to do, putting them all in one request. But as I go line by line, I thought this before the meeting, I'm not exactly sure where I would cut. So I'm wondering if any other commissioners have any thoughts.
That was going to be a similar question. I was going to ask kind of a priority question, right?
Yeah.
Like if you had to prioritize this, where's your rankings, I guess is the simplest way to ask it, but maybe not an easy way to answer it.
You're asking commissioners, Andy, or are you asking?
No,
Kara?
I'm asking Kara.
Okay, that was gonna be my question too. Well, just kind of echoing what Neil said, I certainly would keep everything around the private events in there because that is where the heads and beds are coming in. I would also keep in general support because building out our relationship with those tourism entities certainly helps bring people to the area as well. I would also include the public or the private event, the paid public events, because those are the events where, yes, there's a possibility of revenue coming in, but there's also, I think for those events, more likely that those events will put heads in beds. The White Wings dinner that's being a build out. We are working on room blocks for that specific event. That event is tied to a hotel or a statue placement later in the fall that will be planned at the same time as a powwow in the area, so that it's very much linked to people coming to our area and staying in hotels. The free public events, so that's maybe where I would trim it back a bit, and I see, my executive director is on this call too. But I would probably pull it back, so maybe somewhere in there, just thinking about, some of those events are events where people from our community are coming more so than necessarily people from out of the area. And so, but I do really want to, push the importance for us in terms of finding new ways to get additional people here and how important that is. Especially like through the food cart and music nights. I think that's a great way to build community in our area and get people out to the nature center. One of the things that in my position that I hate hearing, do hear from time to time is, oh, I've lived in the area my whole life and I don't know where the nature center is, or I didn't even know that was there. And so finding ways to like really build up the support within the adults in our community, not just the kids. A lot of kids know us because they come here on field trip. So that's one of the things that I would really like to pursue this year, or to continue pursuing, is the food cart and music nights. I think also I just want to kind of echo what Pat said about, like some of the things in this budget for those things that bring our community here are still important because they're part of what makes the nature center so special and what makes San Damiano so special. So we don't want to necessarily like negate the power of these free public events either in bringing community together. So I think maybe I would trim there, but I don't want to tell you an amount.
Andy, can I throw a quick question in? Garrett, you had on your application, you talked about, you estimated 3,000 hotel stays, and then this year you're looking at 35. Can you talk about how you kind of came up with those numbers and where those?
Yeah. Yeah, so Isabella, I first calculated how many how many weddings we had booked and our average guest count for those. And then our private events manager has, like I said, mentioned that majority of people do still book hotels here. So part of it was feedback based on what we've gotten from Aaron at Country Inn and Suites. And then the other was based on just pure numbers. And so taking the number of wedding events that we did, multiplying that by 0.6. So it's a little bit more than half. And then adding a few more for events that we have. So we have other private rentals here, such as like Rutabaga will come out and do a rental here and teach people about kayaking or water safety. And so they also book maybe 10 hotel rooms for that. We have other trainings come out. There was a training for Betsy, maybe you can help me, but there was a
Wilderness
group.
State Survival.
Yes, Wilderness Day Survival, thank you. And they had booked another 20 rooms. And so it's kind of like piecemealing these other rentals together. And then just kind of thinking about adult summer camp. I know we didn't fill the rooms that we were expecting to necessarily for our first year. But I know that there were some hotel rentals for that event. For adult summer camp this year, we are continuing to advertise in the Milwaukee area, the Green Bay area, and the greater Chicago area so that we can pull people to the community for that. So.
The reason I asked that, Andy, is I think certainly the level of investment we're looking at in terms of some of these larger grant applications, probably going to be, I think staff would probably be recommending some sort of more formal attempt to track, either that's a communication with the hotels directly or other, some way of really more formally kind of getting in and really having an actual inventory of that. But just throwing that out for the commission's consideration is that it's certainly for the large, for anything like 25,000 or under. I think estimates are usually pretty good. We're okay with that maybe, but I think we start getting under some of the larger grants. I think we maybe want to start see. And again, we're willing to help with that. Staff's certainly willing to assist with that, even if it's just calling and double checking with the hotel managers on, hey, what was your occupancy on these dates from here to here, in terms of at least getting some sort of metric on some of those. So just want to throw that out.
No, thank you, Neil. And I just want to say too that it's nice to sit through some of these other presentations because as Ryan was talking about the heat map, I was like, oh yeah, we need to figure, like, that's a fabulous way for us, our tool to figure out where people are coming from for adult summer camp. And so I'm making notes, most definitely. I do want to say that one thing that we have done that I think has gotten, I don't have the analytics on it right now, but one thing that we have done that has been helpful too is that on all of our rentals pages and all of our event pages, we have not only the logos and the links to the hotels, but if there's a discount code and we've been able to secure that for an event or a room block, we put that on there. And so we are doing our best to share about Monona hotels and the importance of people staying here. So yes.
I was just gonna make a comment of thinking about amount. So like, if we wanted to do 120,000, just throwing that out there, we don't have to go line by line and figure out how to make it 120,000, right? I mean, it can be incumbent on the organization to figure that out, knowing that we as a commission might have a preference, obviously, for the private events or whatever. Okay. I just wanted to throw that out there so that we don't necessarily right here and right now have to make the prioritization depending on whatever amount. The only other statement, then I'll be quiet, is I do, no matter what organization, I do get worried about paying 100% of like a salary because I don't want that person to be reliant on, the commission each and every year. Certainly I see the value of this for this position. And then I could see the value for other organizations as well. So that's just kind of my anecdotal comment about having that full salary in here. Gets me a little worried. And I just think about that person, right? It's like, you just need to make sure they have a job every year.
yes, that's exactly it. I've been thinking about that too, just because the salary is not something that I specifically spelled out in previous years or we've even asked for. And so part of my impetus for including so much in this grant request for private events is if the Monona Tourism Commission would help us, do these things that we do best, that we know bring heads into Monona hotel beds, then we can focus on the other good work that we are doing through sustainability, conservation, free public, like making sure that we are getting kids out here for field trips. And there's other things that we do to subsidize our programming to keep things affordable, which I understand is not on the Monona Tourism Commission to figure out how those numbers work, but the more support we can get with this sort of work, the better we can do our job in providing tuition assistance and subsidizing field trips for our community. So,
other questions, comments? Teresa.
Thank you, Kara. Really nice job. I really, in particular, I appreciate you prioritizing the 4 categories, and the one category that you put sort of down for the number 4 spot were those free public events. At the start of your presentation, you talked about the relationship between Aldo Leopold Nature Center and the city of Monona. With that in mind, I'm wondering, Neil, would it be appropriate for ALNC to utilize the Monona City e-newsletter to promote some of their free public events, which tend to draw local participation, doesn't bring any revenue in, might be a little outlet for them to take advantage of, could cut down on their advertising budget. I don't know. I just didn't know about the appropriateness of that.
Great question, first of all. One is to say, I certainly would be encouraging anyone doing this to certainly be coordinating any sort of advertising they're looking at through MESBA as our tourism entity. We have made a significant investment in them with a significant advertising budget, and they have a very detailed plan of how to do some of those things. And I know Aldo, I think, worked very closely with them last year on a lot of their advertising they did. I think the Friends do too. I think that number one is we're going to drive them. The very first thing they should be checking is go check with Christine at MESBA and see if they can dovetail onto what they're advertising for. From the city standpoint, I guess we have to be careful in that if we're doing it for someone, even if there's, depending on the nature of the relationship with the city, obviously is the difference, but we have to be careful with that. Putting on a point of, looking at, well, there is an arrangement, in terms of a special arrangement, obviously with Aldo, in terms of, there isn't really a lease payment. There is a pilot of taxes that is paid to the city. So there is a financial interaction there, so now we have to get to a point, well, if someone, are they renting? Are we looking forward with what do we end up doing with the Friends at this point and saying, obviously they're using city-owned land. There's not a, so it's just, we have to be careful that if we're doing it, we just need to make sure we're being fair and equitable to all other partners in town. Now, I think we already are seeing, we share things from the Friends on social media all the time. We share them. There's bigger events that we're sharing those on as we go. So we're certainly doing some of those things. That's easier to do from like a social media standpoint, because we're not creating content or advertising for them. We're just taking their stuff and sliding it over and saying, here it is, guys. Just by the way, FYI, here you go. So I think there's some things we could do that are easy, that don't take up time, space, capacity, staff time, that certainly we're easy and happy to do. But I think the very first thing needs to be is working with Christine at MESBA to get that message out, because that's what that's part of what we're paying MESBA to take care of. And honestly, they're going to have a larger audience than we're going to have. So I think we really want to kind of drive them there first.
Christine,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was thinking that ALNC and, the Friends, San Damiano, I was thinking of them as sort of peers, in the sense that the city has a relationship with, not entirely similar, but, there's a relationship with the city there. And so it's not as though we would be promoting a private business in the city newsletter.
Right.
Only limiting to that to the things that really are associated with the city. And I don't think many people understand that association. So there's a really wonderful opportunity there for taxpayer education, citizen education. And again, it can help with the budgeting, for marketing and promotion. We've got, I know when I was on the community media committee, we had over 1,000 subscribers to the newsletter. And it keeps growing because that newsletter keeps getting better. And I know, social media, the city Facebook page is just taking off. So since Neil came to be part of the team at the city. So it's just I just wanted to ask if that was an appropriate place for them to leverage. Yeah.
Andy, I know I think we have a hard stop at 1 o'clock, do we not? Okay.
Yep.
Just any other questions or we'll take a motion too.
Yeah. I know Andy, you sort of hinted at a hypothetical number. I have my own in my head. Are you, anyone else? Do I have to be the bad guy?
I have a number in my head too.
Let's throw them out there, talk about them, guys. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I mean, I threw out 120. 120
Yep.
is generally kind of where I was thinking. 130 kind of at the high end.
Yeah.
We gave them, 110 or 113 last year. So this is a relatively significant increase for that. I think it shows commitment to especially the private rental piece. And then, also the other pieces as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they would be the third largest or second largest funder, or what do I want to say? Organization.
Recipient of funds, yeah.
Right. I'm going to make a motion to amend the requested amount I move that we fund this account at $120,000.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Further discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. And then those abstain. Guessing that's Betsy. Perfect.
Me.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just a note on that, Andy, we'll hopefully we can get, I think we can get grant contracts turned around next week and out for everybody. So
Okay.
early next week, we should see emailed versions for folks. So
Sounds perfect. Awesome. I just noticed there's a fire behind you right there.
I did the same.
yeah.
Like,
We aim our remote to turn this TV on and that one, it's just,
Anyway,
it's random, it's right.
any additional staff updates?
No other updates at this time.
All right, next meeting, applications are due on April 4th, and we will plan to meet on the 10th, so we will look for communication at that point.
Yeah, just the only other thing we would say on that, Andy, is if whether or not we hear anything from Christine regarding the fishing tournament, if there's any updates on that, we'll certainly email them out and share those with the commission. If there's a need to get a meeting together, we'll certainly check for quorum, but I think that was the only other outstanding item we had.
Sounds good. And then, Mark, I'm guessing you marked down all of our approvals. What's our balance? So do you know what our remaining is for 2025 based on what we just approved? I could probably do that math real quick, but I didn't know if you had it right.
I was writing a total and I stepped out for a second. It was 120, correct?
Yes, that was last one. Yeah.
So it's 224,500 was approved. So use this with
so about 50,000. So 180, roughly 184,000.
Yeah.
Left here.
Yes.
And we're comfortable that, Andy, that should cover our, well, at least, I know for known applications that are likely to come in, we feel that we're comfortable with that number.
All right. Sorry, I'm pulling up adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All those who approve of adjourning say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. All right. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank
you.
Yeah.